Well, a lot of Canadians following this story have been quick to point out the recent changes to the law. How many of you are watching right now are from Canada? From Canada? Drop us a comment below and let us know that there's, of course, recent changes to your laws in Canada, where the government is moving forward with plans to allow euthanizing mentally ill patients. Mentally ill patients can, of course, send a request to be euthanized. They can ask for it. Right? They don't even need the family to be involved. They can ask for it to be euthanized, even without family's consent. And boom, they'll take care of it. Just like the Canadian Alan Nichols, as the Associated Press reports. This is an Associated Press report. Disturbing, it says. Experts troubled by Canada's euthanasia laws. Alan Nichols, that's who you're seeing there on your screen, had a history of depression and other medical issues, but none were life-threatening. Nichols submitted a request to be euthanized, and yes, he was killed, despite concerns raised by his family and a nurse practitioner. What did he put on his application? Hearing loss. Yeah, hearing loss. And they ended his life. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Oh, you're just fine. You hearing loss? Yeah, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. Canada has the most expansive euthanasia laws, and they are expanding them in March. Because a number of Canadian viewers were pointing this out, that they're expanding this in March. So it's going to get more expansive in 2023, including mental illness now, and removing the 10-day waiting period before making it happen. As of March 2023, mental illness will be included in the criteria for assessing medical assistance in death. It says, according to Rebel News, it can be accessed by people who choose natural death, whose natural death is not the foreseeable future. You simply must be in a state of decline that cannot be reversed in ways that you find acceptable. Fatality or terminality of a condition is not a requirement.
In ways you find acceptable, okay.
Physician-assisted suicide has received a bit of a rebranding in Canada because it sounds so harsh. So we're going to kind of remove that branding, and we're going to come up with a new name called MAiD, MAiD, which is medical assistance in dying. Oh, did you call the MAiD? Like, it sounds so sweet. Oh, you on the MAiD list? You going to get the MAiD to come over? Here's an example. Madeline can't afford, and it's not, I mean, it's just a lot of people. Madeline can't afford to live with her illness. She may choose to die instead. So it's the pricing. Because it's so expensive, you can go on the MAiD list.
Boy, that's a real...
Wait, I thought they had health care.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's a real testament to their healthcare system.
Yeah. For the past 20 years, the 54-year-old Vancouver woman has amassed $40,000 in debts trying to treat a disorder and other ailments. When her money runs out, she says medically assisted death may be her only option.
Was she having to come to the United States for some kind of treatment or something? Because again, like, I thought everything was covered in their medical system.
Can all people in debt choose to die instead of...
Yeah, that's part of the plan. So if you just want to end it because you're in debt, that's the way it goes. Here's another example.
You don't have to find a bus.
Credit card companies.
Here's Alex C., and I love this website, Dying with Dignity Canada, provides us with this story. Alex C.'s story, my medical journey and struggle to access MAiD. She wants to get on MAiD. What motivates a person to consider medical assistance in dying? At what point did they say, I've had enough? It's just too hard I can't do this anymore. Making the decision to request MAiD is not something that happens overnight. A person doesn't wake up one morning and say, I want to exercise my legal right to death. But, if I've got gut-wrenching mental anguish, or I've got other types of pain, or some sort of credit card debt, this is an opportunity. This is Canada right now.
Okay.
I can't lie to you. Today I come to you with one of the saddest videos I've had to cover in a while. I got a surprising, lovely little comment from Nicole Marie this morning. She says, since you had such comments on Roe v. Wade, any comments on Canada having talks of children allowed to doctor-assisted suicide without parental consent? Cap. Anything. I watched a video of a homeless man sign up for assisted death because he was homeless. Why are y'all allowing this? Okay, let's talk about this. First of all, I'm going to need you to do your complete research because your misrepresentation of this man is insulting. This is Amir Farsad. He lives in St. Catharines, and he has applied for medical assisted suicide, not because he wants to die, but because social supports are failing him, and he fears he may have no other choice. So before I share his clip, I just want to clarify something. Lady, are you mad that the government is failing him so bad that they would even consider taking such a cheap route, such as assisted suicide, rather than just implementing the supports that this man needs? Is that why you're outraged? Or are you outraged that this man wants to kill himself because he's homeless, as if that's like some petty reason? You try being homeless, first of all.
Do you want to die?
No. I don't.
But you will choose MAiD
Yes.
if you have nowhere to live.
Yes. I don't want to die, but I don't want to be homeless more than I don't want to die.
Are you afraid to die?
Who isn't? Yeah, I am. Sorry. I was going to be the tough guy and not do this, but hey. Yeah, at 3 in the morning I am. I wouldn't be.
All in favor of not letting this man die, say aye. Here's what angers me. Not the fact that this man is applying for assisted suicide. The fact that the Canadian government would rather grant people assisted suicide than give them the resources in life that's needed. Why is that? Is it maybe because it's cheaper? Because it seems like some eugenics bullshit. It seems like they are targeting the vulnerable and saying, oh, you want to die? No problem. No fucking problem. Yeah. Screw better social assistance. Screw more subsidized housing. Screw supporting men. Let's kill them. So no, lady, he's not just trying to off himself because he doesn't want to be homeless. It's because he's in so much pain he wouldn't survive homeless. And in other interviews, he talked about how maybe if he died, then the life insurance would provide for his family, since now he's disabled and in a year he's going to be on so much medication he won't even be able to function. He's already struggling to function, so how is he going to do that homeless? Like, this just all ties into a man's worth, right? Like, there is a man who is considering, who has already applied to take his own life because he doesn't feel like he can do anything. Right here, second paragraph, he tells CTV News it's at its worst when he's crying like a 5-year-old and not sleeping for days in a row. He also takes medication for depression and anxiety and describes his quality of life as awful, non-existent, and terrible. I do nothing other than manage pain. And what makes me even sadder is right here, Nicole says, I've seen too many Canadians complaining about him. Cool, Canada. Why? Because you didn't take the chance to actually read the article and you just think he's like some lazy man who just doesn't want to be homeless? Are you kidding me? I will be following this story. I'm going to do my very best to reach out to this guy and see if we can start a GoFundMe or something, because the way this guy's being represented in the media is just absolutely disgusting. And the fact that people are more outraged at him than the Canadian government for not implementing support sooner blows my mind and just shows how little fucks are really given. So keep your outrage porn to yourself. Thank you.
God, there's a story about OPEC Plus as well. Washington Post is telling Americans to eat bugs as they can no longer afford traditional seasonal dinners. We're going to talk about that. We are going to discuss a new advertisement, a new commercial that's airing in Canada about assisted suicide. They're encouraging people to commit suicide, I guess, assisted by the government in Canada. The big new thing that they're pushing for is legal assisted suicide. Yes, that is what the Canadian authorities in Trudeauistan are rolling out. If you don't believe me, take a look at this right here. This is a commercial that aired in Canada this week about assisted suicide. I told you that the Malthusian globalists that, again, embody this depopulation Malthus agenda doctrine, whatever, are pushing a depopulation agenda. Some of you laughed, some of you agreed with it, whatever. But those of you who laughed are now going to have to reckon with the fact that they're literally running commercials promoting mass assisted suicides in Canada. Take a look.
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty You just have to be brave enough to see it.
So that says for Jennifer, June 1985 to October 2022. So the voice you were hearing there, again, I'll play it one more time, is the voice of someone who presumably chose the path of assisted suicide in Canada and Trudeau-stan. And these were her last words, that she wanted to be aired on a commercial, presumably encouraging other people to do assisted suicide.
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it.
All is beauty. So initially, they told you that assisted suicide was something to help people who are chronically ill, very sick, people who are stage 4 cancer, have no hope of living, and it's an effort to put them out of their misery, right? That's how they initially put it. They said, the hope is very, very, very slim that you will make it out alive of whatever sort of chronic illness you have or disease that you have contracted or whatever, and you're going to be living a life that is not worth living. That's how they tried to spin it at first. And they said, for that reason, we have assisted suicide for you. Okay. Vehemently disagree with that, but that's how they tried to spin it initially. Now, they've gotten to the point where it's, suicide is actually, and I'm not saying this, I obviously, if you need help, seek out help, suicide hotlines, all this stuff. But now they're trying to tell people that this is beautiful and that it's some beautiful, natural bubbles, seaweed, ocean, surrounded by family. This is like, look at this video one more time. What is this? This is literally, they're encouraging people.
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final
It's cool, it's trendy, we have cool music, it's sacred.
days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music.
It's like all the things that we treasure in life that make up culture, they're like, this is death. Do you know how dystopian this is?
Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty.
So much beauty. It's the same narrative. It's like turning the most ill, satanic, dystopian thing you could think of into something that is beautiful. Oh, smiling families, smiling youth. You'll own nothing and be happy. Men are women. Men can get pregnant. All this stuff. It's just completely backwards what they're pushing.
Just have to be brave enough to see it.
You just have to be brave enough. You just have to be brave enough to do it. So that's what the Canadian government and corporations hand in hand are putting forward in Trudeauistan. It's absolutely insane what is going on right now. It's absolutely insane what's going on right now. But the reason why I show you that is because, again, this is the agenda that's on full display. They're not hiding it. Now it's, again, becoming the cool, trendy thing to do this in Canada. And they have massive corporations working hand in hand with the government of Trudeau to unleash this and propagandize MK Ultra the masses into believing that death is a better choice than life. Pure Satanism. It's insane. Watching that makes me so mad. I saw that today. Just like, I usually laugh at the stuff, but like that crossed the line. Why are there only white people in the commercial? From the government and corporations that literally make it like a mandate to put all genders, all races, all fictional genders in every single commercial that they put forward, but they only choose white people in that commercial. I don't know. Good question. Good question.
Hello, you've reached the Provincial Health Services Authority telephone line. for medical assistance in dying.
The countdown to Joni Cowie's death has begun.
Your call is important to us.
If you call the number on the government website, they will provide doctors that will sign off for you.
Like many disabled Canadians, she is stuck in a cycle of poverty and despair.
It's no hope for anybody in Ontario. That's a good boy.
So she's planning to end her life
Up.
with the government's help.
They could have me dead in 90 days. That's what I was told.
Like in my case, the problem is not really the disability. It is the poverty.
Les Landry is in the same position, wanting to live, but seeing no other option than death.
These two are for my asthma. This is for my COPD. Since when did we stop looking at the value of human life in this country?
It's a question people with disabilities and their advocates ask constantly.
We can organize medical assistance in dying in approximately 2 weeks in a very organized and efficient manner. Yet, it is so difficult to get my patients the social support that they need to live well. That is morally distressing.
I have severe asthma that's turned into COPD and Guillain-Barré syndrome, as well as cancer. I also just recently fractured my back. I'm tired a lot. The pain is excruciating. He told me.
Joni lives with her 3 dogs and her daughter, who is also disabled. They have no family support, so they have to find a way to survive on $1,228 a month Joni gets from Ontario's Disability Support Program, plus a few $100s more for her daughter. Even with subsidized housing, it's not nearly enough.
We have about $59 left to buy groceries in a month because our home, we have to have housing insurance, rent, hydro is high, gas is high. I get angry at people who say you need to budget better because I just want to say to them, go to hell. I really do, and I don't swear very often.
Les has been growing steadily poorer and more desperate since his career as a truck driver was derailed more than a decade ago.
Disability can happen to anyone at any time. I was doing good. I was making good money, 80, 85 grand a year. I developed a hernia. And then that's when the surgery happened. That's when the blood pressure went out of control. That's when I developed epilepsy and the 3 mini strokes, and things just fell apart. Good girl.
On Alberta's disability program, Les was receiving $1,685 a month, plus benefits for his service dog, special diet, and medications.
This is my blister pack.
Along with timely donations from strangers on Twitter, he was just scraping by.
That's for a week.
Then in May, he turned 65. In the bureaucratic shuffle, he was transitioned from disability to senior status and actually lost some benefits.
I am no longer a person with a disability. I am a senior citizen in poverty.
In the past, Les planned ahead, made extra payments on his bills. But he's no longer able to do that and is forced to rely even more on donations.
The big picture is, if I didn't plan ahead and make them extra payments, I'd probably be homeless. I cannot live the rest of my life on the goodwill of friends on Twitter. No.
As Canada has opened up eligibility, the number of cases has shot up. In 2021, more than 10,000 Canadians opted for a medically assisted death. That's a 32% increase from the year before. The numbers have increased faster here than any other country where it's legal, including the Netherlands and Belgium. There is no way of knowing how many of those deaths could have been avoided with the right supports, but we know there are some. Recently in Canada, an Ontario woman suffering from chemical sensitivities reportedly opted for a medically assisted death because she couldn't afford appropriate housing. And in another troubling case, a Veterans Affairs employee suggested it to a veteran who was seeking help for PTSD and a traumatic brain injury. The controversy surrounding MAiD is not going away. In March, the government plans to expand access yet again to include people with mental illnesses.
So sorry. Please speak up to your member of parliament, to your members of provincial parliament, because people with disabilities don't ask for their disability.
I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I just can't see me living like this for the rest of my life.
So Margaret Marcilla is a mother who lives outside Toronto, Canada. She's got a 23-year-old son who suffers from depression and diabetes. Also, he doesn't have a girlfriend. On that basis alone, doctors have just approved her son's assisted suicide. A doctor called Joshua Tepper signed off on it to kill the boy because he's sad and doesn't have a girlfriend. We know this because of the Substack Common Sense. You can read the details, and you should. They're shocking. This is about to become a lot more common in Canada as a way of cutting down on healthcare costs. By March, a new law in Canada is expected to allow children to be killed by doctors, by state doctors, without the approval of their parents. This seems like a very big change in Western civilization. Charles Camasey is a professor at Creighton School of Medicine. He's the author of Losing Our Dignity. He joins us tonight. I sure appreciate your coming on to assess this. We've had this conversation multiple times, and each time we do, we reach a new and more terrifying low. Doctors killing kids without telling their parents because the kids are depressed?
Let's see if I have the laundry list right, Tucker, at this point. We've got kids now, or what they call mature minors. We've got the homeless, we talked about that last time, the poor, the disabled, those with chronic pain. And then right before coming on, I researched a physicians group in Quebec that wants to kill newborn infants. That's what's coming next. The Toronto Star, Tucker, a very liberal paper in Canada, called this Hunger Games social Darwinism. This is what happens, Tucker, when autonomy just goes nuts.
I mean, you hate to, I really try never to invoke the Nazis because, you know, for many reasons. But they are famous for doing this exact thing. Use doctors to murder the weakest in your society. And I thought that doctors kind of agreed after the Second World War not to do things like this.
Yeah, you would think. And I'm the same way. I think we should be very, very hesitant to use those arguments. But at a certain point, Tucker, if the shoe fits, Canada has to wear it. Now, the question is, can we stop this from coming to the United States? It hasn't got here yet, and I think we can. For instance, New York, Connecticut, even deep blue states like that have not legalized even assisted suicide yet. And so what we need to do, Tucker, and all your listeners need to do this, is support in whatever way you can healthcare that is about caring, not killing. In fact, there's a coalition of people. There's a coalition of people coming up with a brand new medical school, the Padre Pio School of Medicine in 2026, that is going to do this very clearly, very ably. And if others would like to join a coalition of people who are doing this, I urge them to send me a message through my website, charlescamosi.com, or through Twitter, because we have to get off the couch and do something about this for those of us that see the writing on the wall here.
Shouldn't the American Medical Association weigh in and just say unequivocally, doctors in the United States don't get to kill children just because children are depressed? A doctor's job is to help people, make them better, not to kill them, give up on them when they're kids.
Well, as I wrote at length in Losing Our Dignity, Tucker, we have a very, very different healthcare system than we had even 20 or 30 years ago. It is hyper secularized. It is often based on cost-benefit analyses, even something called quality-adjusted life years, which is basically ableism. We've had a lot of talk about ableism over the last couple of days. This is ableism right here. And it's no accident that the disability rights groups are our biggest allies in this. We should continue to employ them as, again, we get up off the couch here and fight.
Yeah, amen. Get off the couch and fight. That's exactly right. Professor Charles Camasey, thank you, as always.